Hey everybody, it's Jeff Antoniuk. Welcome to the live stream here on Facebook, archived on YouTube as well. This is video number 7, halftime, full-time practice. And for those of you out there, you're going to want to send this video to your classical musician friends or your bluegrass friends or the dude down the street learning the Eddie Van Halen solo or whatever it is. This, what we're going to talk about today is a great practice technique that has nothing to do with what instrument you're playing or the style of music. It's just a great way to get music under your fingers and inside your head. So there's that. Also, write me an email and I'll send you a copy of this study guide. So this goes along with the Advanced Jazz Learning Techniques video series. And for each of the 10 or 12 videos, there's a sheet here that'll help you sort of dig a little deeper into the information to help you, whether it's in your teaching or your practice or whatever else. So I'd love to send that to you. Write me an email, jeffantoniuk@gmail.com, or hit me at Facebook Messenger or something like that. Love to send it off to you. So as many of you know, the series that we're doing, Advanced Jazz Learning Techniques, is geared towards two audiences or two groups of you out there. One is I really want this to be for jazz professionals. So teachers, players, recording artists, folks like me who make their living in jazz. And the second group are adult students, like so many of you out there. I get emails every week from someone like you around the country or around the world, frankly, who are wanting to learn a little more, learn deeper, learn better. And that's fabulous. I love that. And here's the thing, is when that happens, when you actually, start playing and understanding and getting things going a little better, the trick is now, where are you going to play with other people, right? I mean, jazz is a team sport. We want to be playing with other folks. So that's the part that I love being involved with. So here's something that occurred to me recently. After more than 30 years in the music business in both Canada and the United States, it occurred to me that I've got friends, peers, friends, all over the world who are working in music. And it occurred to me, I don't know a single person that does exactly what I do in my business. So, many people are out there teaching private lessons, playing gigs, private lessons, whether it's at a music school or teaching at home. A lot of friends who teach in some of the best universities and colleges around the country. People who do an outreach class at a community college or a community big band or something like that, Skype lessons, and all the gigging and recording and everything else. I've done all of those things and enjoyed them immensely. Of course, I'm still playing and gigging. That said, I gave up most of that work to dedicate myself to working with adult students out there, like many of you folks out there. So these days, I think about my teaching almost entirely different than anyone I know. It sounds like a sort of big statement, but I don't know anyone else that does it quite this way. I'm talking about who I serve. I'm talking about how I serve them. I'm talking about what I value in my lessons and in my communication, all the way down to what my days look like, or what my business looks like, or what my income looks like. It's different than anybody else I know on the scene, and I thought that was kind of interesting. So does that make me special? My mom would say I'm special, so there you go. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I think we jazz musicians, we music professionals, have these like 500 pieces of the puzzle on the table that we try to put together into how we're going to make a career and a living. And there's kind of the standard ways to do that. And I've hit upon something that's a little different for me, and I love it. So that's the kind of thing I'm eager to talk to you about. So if you're a jazz pro out there, there are some other ways to piece this together that are a little bit atypical, and I love the work that I'm doing, so I'd love to talk to you about it. Well, okay, let's move on to this halftime, full-time practice business. If you tuned into the last video number 6, I was talking about practicing less, the idea of focusing our practice and how powerful that is. And I offered up a particularly good exercise that I call the 9-beat exercise. And it was sort of geared towards harmonic improvisation kind of stuff, a way to focus our practice that way. So today I want to talk about another focus practice approach, and this would be more towards playing written music, learning the hard parts on some, on a piece of music we have. So I think most of us take the old school approach of I'm going to start slow and I'm going to get it right, and then I'm going to turn up the metronome 2 clicks and 2 clicks, and over the course of time speed this thing up. And that's worked for people for years, right? These days there's technology of metronomes that will speed up every 4 measures, or software that'll slow down a song for us without changing the pitch. So there's all kinds of great technology, but it ends up sort of doing the same gradual thing. So I want to offer an entirely different approach. And the reason is, like, some of the downsides of that, if you think about taking 2 weeks to practice a hard part to get it ready for such and such a gig, sort of by definition, you spend 2 weeks playing it at not the right tempo, right? If you think about it, you probably time it just right and you get that song up to 280 or wherever the metronome marking is, like right before the gig. So you've spent hours playing it at the wrong tempo. Like, you are what you eat, right? You are what you practice. So you've spent hours and hours and hours playing it too slow. Well, so you'd have to, if that reasoning works, you'd have to spend those same amount of hours fast just to get it right. So we know in jazz that when we play, so now a feel thing, when we play slower swing, it's an overswung triplety feel, whereas when we play faster, so when you're playing something slower, you're probably not even playing the right feel. To make it feel right, you would be overswinging. You get the idea. A fast funk groove, a fast swing groove, a fast samba, and a slow one are a little bit different. So you're actually not only practicing the wrong tempo, you might even be practicing the wrong feel most of the time. It can take a long time to get something up to 280, so weeks and months are going by. Plus, it's a psychological beatdown to take so damn long to get to where you're going, right? Here's the exercise. This really couldn't be simple. 1 or 2 rules. The first rule is put your metronome on the written tempo of whatever it is you're trying to play. So let's say I'm trying to learn how to play Confirmation by Charlie Parker. And let's say this is my tempo. So I'm going to have the metronome click twice a measure. That helps for this exercise. And to keep it simple, I'm going to have it click on 1 and 3, although I know that jazz would typically be 2 and 4. So let's say this is the tempo I want to play Confirmation. So a little raggedy. I wouldn't want to record that, although I just put it out on the internet. There you go, little raggedy. So here's the deal. I'm allowed 2 tempos only ever. The written tempo or half that tempo. So I'm either allowed to play or that's it. That's the exercise. You're allowed full speed or halftime. That's all there is to it. Now, I think there's a lot to be said for what's going on here. Now, part of it is you're being forced to play faster than you'd ever play. That's, whatever that tempo is. I can't play that fast. Why would I even bother? Yeah, you should bother to get a sense of the pacing. And it's an aspirational thing. I think there's something psychological that goes on in our heads when we crash through. It may sound awful, but I don't care. And then what do? You go back and play it at half speed. Here's where I think the magic is. Half speed is almost, I've seen this with 100 students. When I ask them to play half speed, they play way faster than half speed. Half speed is probably a lot slower than you would allow yourself to play. So here's where the rubber hits the road. Half speed, like I said, that's slower than you probably would play. And when you play that slow, you're actually aware of like, oh, my little finger's a little late on the G sharp. And then when you speed it up, it's there. So you'll notice all kinds of things you weren't noticing before when you go to half speed. And in my mind, it's a little bit maybe like the instant replay in a football game where in regular time we can't tell was the guy's foot on the line, inside the line, over the line. We can't tell. They slow it down for us and it's very clear. He was just inside the line. And here's where the magic happens. When they speed up the tape, most people can see that. Oh, yeah, I see that now. So there was something about when we slowed it down, we saw what was going on. And again, there's some psychology going on here. But when we speed it up, it's clear to us what to do, or how to see it, or how to perceive it, right? So that's the magic. And this works like a charm. I've used this for like 25 years in my own practice. When I was getting ready for these big Baltimore Symphony gigs I had this past winter, maybe you saw the Jazz Process video series, which sort of followed me through that. I use this a lot, learning the ridiculously hard part. So I've used it myself for a long time. I've used this with many, many students, and it really works. So the idea, one more time, is we set the metronome, clicking twice a measure at the fast tempo. Odds are, if it's a difficult passage, tempo and velocity has something to do with it, right? Raggedy. That was slower than I probably would have practiced otherwise. So here's the other part. Am I playing all 32 measures of confirmation? No, I'm breaking it down to a measure or two, or a passage, and then going back and forth very quickly, half speed, double speed, or regular speed. And it works great. So as you can see, it has nothing to do with what instrument you're playing, has nothing to do with the style of music you're playing. It's a fabulous, fabulous practice routine, and please try it, and I would love to hear back from you. Does it work for you? Does it not work? Do you have another version of this? Have you learned this before? Who did you learn it from? I've told 1,000 people about this exercise, and I haven't run into anybody who's heard of it before. Works great. So anyway, I love communicating with everybody. I'd love to talk to the jazz pros out there about how you're running your business and some options for you. Of course, I love to hear from adult musicians all across the world. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hope this is good information for you. Please send me the comments and the rebuttals and the arguments and whatever you got. I love it. I love getting the conversations going. So thank you so much. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet. It's Jeff Antoniuk Educator on YouTube. And we do one of these videos a week, and I'd love to get you involved here. Okay, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.